counts right now. Good stuff. Lights on. All right. All right. The council ready. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to open the meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Okay. Roll call. Councilor Moore?
Here.
Councilor Robichaud?
Here.
Councilor LaRochelle?
Here.
Councilor Lunt?
Here.
Councilor Fellows?
Here.
Councilor Smith?
Here.
Councilor Kane?
Here.
All right, everybody's here tonight. And no one's excused. We have Councilor Moore that is remote tonight with Assistant Town Manager Glenn Michalowski. As our matter remote meeting policy, during the public comments section, you may email townmanager@lisbonme.org for any comments. Once again, that's townmanager@lisbonme.org for any comments. All right. Moving ahead, we have good news and recognition. Do we have any good news and recognition tonight?
Any of the council?
Okay.
All good.
Seeing none, we'll move along. At this point, we have public hearings. Once the chair opens a public hearing, those present who wish to speak may approach the lector to address the council chair. Please use the microphone and state your name for the record.
All right. I'd like to open a public hearing, special amusement permit for the Lisbon Left Hand Club. Anybody have anything to speak on that or represent it? Please step forward. Seeing no activity, I will close that public hearing. Next public hearing is going to be for the amendment of Chapter 24, Public Safety, Article 2, Fireworks. Open that public hearing. Seeing no activity on that, we'll close that public hearing.
All right. Audience participation response for agenda items. At this time, those in the audience who wish to speak may approach the lector to address items or issues that are on the agenda. Please use the microphone and state your name for the record. And as previously stated, you can also email townmanager@lisbonme.org, which I am monitoring.
Not seeing any movement, we'll close that section. Move on to the consent agenda, please.
And just for the record, we have none by email as well. Moving ahead to the consent agenda, items are considered routine and will be considered for adoption by one motion with no separate discussion unless a councilor requests an item be removed. Any councilor wishing to remove an item may do so now.
I would like to remove H and vote on that separately tonight.
Okay. We will move that. All right. Order 2022-198 to approve the municipal accounts payable warrants, $463,000, $544.73. Municipal payroll warrants, $174,580. C, school accounts payable warrants, $231,765.20. D, school payroll warrants, $18,556.82. E, minutes of September 6, 2022. F, Finance Director Certificate of Settlement 2021 taxes. G, Special Entertainment Permit and Licensed Liquor for Lisbon Left Hand Club. I, Mobile Home License for Double Eagle Properties LLC.
Entertain a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay, this being remote tonight, we actually have to do all voting by roll call. So we'll actually start with that process.
Councilor Fellows?
Yes.
Councilor LaRochelle?
Yes.
Councilor Lunt?
Yes.
Councilor Moore? Councilor Moore?
I'm not sure. Harry, Councilor Moore, are you able to actually verbally say yes? I'm not sure if he actually has seen that. Why don't we move forward?
All right. Councilor Kane?
Yes.
Councilor Robichaud?
Yes.
Councilor Smith?
Yes.
And probably just ask Councilor one more time if he's able to.
Councilor Moore, are you able to hear us remotely? Okay, it looks like he's not hearing us.
He probably got locked out. Okay, so that would actually.
That order is passed. 6
and one
and one
unknown.
All right, now we gotta do the next one, which would be
we just
request for,
voted.
You just
Yeah.
said something.
Sign language.
I'm not sure.
We
Council
lost
Moore, are
audio
you
here.
able to, did you lose your audio?
he said, lost my audio, going to reboot.
Okay.
Okay, we will,
So I think, wouldn't that be counted as an abstention?
okay,
At this point, probably yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
the request for an extension of license on premise for Olive Pit Brewing Company LLC. If I can have a motion.
And entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we got a first and a second. Let's read.
Ray, Counselor Fellows,
Yes.
Counselor LaRochelle,
Yes.
Counselor Lunt,
Yes.
Counselor Kane,
Abstain?
Counselor Robichaud,
Yes.
Counselor Smith,
Yes.
and Counselor Moore. Okay, we'll skip that one.
He's
Yeah.
frozen,
Order-
frozen
We
now.
have two extensions, so we
That's
actually
fine,
still
order.
have a passing vote, so we're all set.
Yeah.
Order passed. Okay, moving ahead. Council orders, resolutions, ordinances, order 2022-199, amendments to library department fee schedule. If we can have Diane Nadu come up.
Good evening.
Good evening, members of the Town Council, Town Manager, Assistant Town Manager, and Councilor Moore. Thank you for letting me be here this evening. I'm Diane Nadeau, Library Director, and I'm seeking Town Council review and approval to increase the current $50 yearly non-resident membership fee to $60 a year. Library Governing Board and I recommend this increase upon review of the increase in hours of operation, more in-house programs that we're bringing in as we speak, online services that we're increasing as we speak, and they're available and provided to all Lisbon Library residents and non-resident patrons post-pandemic. That's the first request. And the second request is to seek Town Council review and approval to eliminate the overdue fine collection schedule fee. We currently have a 10-cent per day, max $5 per item policy. Overdue fines had been suspended during and post-pandemic months to ensure patrons continue to receive services. Fines were reinstated last fiscal year, but have proven to be ineffective to encourage the few, mind you, few, who reach the billing stage of the overdue process to return their library materials in a timely fashion. Our timely and consistent overdue notices and a final overdue that is a bill for lost Town of Lisbon property and library card suspension policy, however, keeps our rate of loss very low.
Entertain a motion for discussion.
I'll make that motion,
Second.
and I have a discussion point.
Yes, sir.
I'm just, could you elaborate a little bit? Our timely, consistent overdue notices and bill for lost Town Lisbon property and the suspension policy makes our rate very low.
Right.
So if you have fines, what's the overdue policy? What does it say in the overdue policy?
The overdue policy, we still charge them the 10 cents per day,
Okay.
and that stays on their record until they clear everything. But it's not the $5 that entices them to get the materials back, frankly. It's when they get this, it says bill for lost Town of Lisbon property, or a visit by a very kind police officer who says, this is town property.
So, okay, so what you're
Yes.
saying is, when I come through the door wanting to borrow a book, you don't say, well, you've got overdue books, here's, pay this first?
Unless you've reached that stage, no.
Okay.
Unless you have reached that stage, first overdue notice, it happens, people travel, people get busy, that kind of stuff. It's when you reach this billing stage, and at that point you have received 4 notices from the library that you've ignored. If you reach out to us, we'll renew items for you. It happens. I needed 5 more days, my son's reading this for a class, he needs another week. We work with you. It's when you ignore us, and over that 6-week or so period, and then it becomes property, lost town property is what it is. It's like borrowing the lawnmower from Public Works and not returning it. I've always felt that way, and that's kept our rate of loss very low.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other question for council? If it's coming from you, I'm sure it's been well thought through without a thought.
Yeah, I would like to add that I know I have seen some stuff nationally that says that the library fines deter people of lower income from using the
Yes,
library because they're
right.
afraid of getting hit with these
Correct.
big fines they can't pay back. And for some people, $5 or it
Exactly.
can be $15 if your kid borrowed 3 books, and that could be a lot
Totally
of money
agree.
for people that are struggling.
And we don't want to turn kids away at summer reading programs because their parents were, not responsible enough to get them back.
Yep.
It's not our intent. We want the materials back so that they're available to all of you because it is town property. And so, and our rate of loss is very low. And we keep track of who you are. We have a book.
You know, right? Yeah, that black book.
keep that
You
in
don't
mind.
want to be in trouble.
We have a book and also on our computer, and it says, and we look it up, and we want to work with the customer and say, you reach this stage, and, if you've lost it, you make restitution, and we deposit that. There's an account here at the town. You see it in your revenues side, and we replace it, and all is well. You're forgiven, and come on back. So it's just a system that we want to make sure that things are available for
Keep
everyone.
on task.
Um,
The other question I had was, so the increasing from 50 to 60, is that surrounding communities?
I
Are we
have
still
that,
on the
and
low
I will
side?
leave them with you. We did
Yeah.
our homework,
Yeah.
and we polled or called, and we are the lowest, which is neither here nor there, except that, we have added services, and we want to be fair to the taxpayer. Lewiston charges $60, Auburn $60, Topsom $75, Curtis Memorial $75, Freeport $60, Bodenham Public $10, and Gardner does not charge because they charge the little towns a flat fee around them. All the little towns around Gardner, their municipalities pay a fee for library services for their residents. So really in the ballpark, and it doesn't really deter, I don't think, because they know that they get a good service. We don't charge them extra to check out DVDs or the cloud service. They can go online with their library card number and download ebooks or audiobooks just like a resident patron. And the summer reading program is wonderful, and we have families that register just for that.
Absolutely, yeah.
It keeps their children reading, and they get back to school, and they say to the parents, "Where have your kids read all summer?" They're ready for 5th grade or 6th grade, whatever. And they say the Lisbon Library. We purchased this, and they said it's a deal for them. They don't have to buy all those books. So really in the ballpark, and so I don't think we'll have to, and certainly we wouldn't turn people away. We don't have a payment system, but if a finance director so chose, we could do 6 month. Lewiston does 6 months in Auburn. So if you're only here in the summer because you have a summer home, we could work something out. But for a year, and the average price of a book, if you read a Stephen King, a Danielle Steele, and a Clive Cussler, you're over the $60. You're somewhere in between 75 or so.
Perfect. No, I don't think we're second guessing anything you're doing.
No, I
by
just
any
wanted
means, so-
everyone to know
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
I know that people watch this, and it's not our intent to cheat anybody. We just want to be fair to the taxpayers as well.
Absolutely. Any other questions? I guess what we'll do is we'll go to vote, another roll call vote. Before we do, just question, all things good down Main Street. Construction's a challenge, but
Yes.
you're making it happen, right?
We're making it happen. Monday, thank you, Chief McGee. We had no water Monday, so we called a day just because patrons sometimes need to use the bathroom. And we had another visit today, and front door will not be available tomorrow because they are doing the sidewalk walk in front of the library tomorrow, right in front of the library. So we posted our Facebook to let patrons know the library will be open tomorrow. Children's room door, and if you need assistance with materials because of the stairs, we'll meet you at the bottom of the stairs or at your car in the parking lot. So patrons of, understanding, but anxious for us to be shiny and new.
Perfect.
So,
All right, we'll continue with the vote then. Thank you.
thank
I'd
you.
just like to add that Diane's been doing a great job with this construction and making sure that the public's notified in advance to get in there. And I've been down there several times in the past week or so, and there's always people inside. So it's keep up the good
Yeah,
work.
Thank you.
All right, roll call vote. Councilor Fellows,
Yes.
Councilor LaRochelle,
Yes.
Councilor Lunt,
Yes.
Councilor Moore,
I could see him moving, but I didn't hear it, but
Councilor.
there he is.
Yep, there we go. Got you.
Aye.
Councilor Kane,
Yes.
Councilor Robichaud,
Yes.
Councilor Smith.
Yes.
Order passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving ahead, Order 2022-200, Amendment to Chapter 24, Public Safety, Article 2, Fireworks. This is the second reading. We reviewed this before. Essentially, this is rereading the ordinance. The proposal is to update the attached fireworks ordinance to add noise cannon to the ordinance. And we've gone over this before. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to
motion.
motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right. Continue with the roll call vote.
Councilor Fellows,
Yes.
Councilor LaRochelle,
Yes.
Councilor Lunt,
Yes.
Councilor Moore, Councilor Kane,
Yes.
Councilor Robichaud,
Yes.
Councilor Smith.
Yes.
Order passed. This will be Order 2022, Amendment to Ground-Mounted Solar Energy System Ordinance. This is the first reading. This is a proposed solar ordinance revision. Since the state of Maine has adopted decommissioning standards for ground-mounted solar energy systems, the following change to Section 70-877 of our Town of Lisbon Solar Ordinance has been made. Section 70-877, Performance Guarantee. After the plan is approved but before a permit is issued, the applicant for a ground-mounted solar energy system shall submit to the Town of Lisbon a copy of the decommissioning plan for the system submitted and approved in accordance with Title 35A, subsection 3495. Requirements of the subsection shall be met in all respects, and copies of the required updates shall be submitted to the Town of Lisbon Code Enforcement Officer in the same manner and timeframes as required by the Maine state statute. Having met the state requirements shall be sufficient to meet the Town of Lisbon requirements for this matter.
Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept and to send to hearing.
Second it.
All right, any other further discussion? Anything to that, Don?
I just wanted to say that the planning board did this because of a complication required. We had other applicants for solar farms, and there exists now two requirements, one by the state and one by our town for not reconstruction, but rehabbing it after the plan is over. So the state came up with the regulation after the town had adopted theirs. So all this does is bring it in line with the state policy and 3495 says an environmental permitting entity shall approve a decommissioning plan whenever it finds all these needed to be done. And so I have the policy here, but it also requires sufficient money, which ours doesn't explicitly say, and it requires an update every 15 years and no less frequently than 5 years thereafter. So the state covers it pretty well, and so we're just coming in line with that.
And from what I heard before, basically what this is if you actually have someone puts in a 30-acre solar farm, after the 25 or 30 years of its life, there is a plan for it to be removed, so it's
Correct.
not left there as unwanted
Right.
junk.
It's a decommissioning plan.
It's
That's
a
what I meant to say.
decommissioning, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And a use plan, right?
Right.
Perfect. Any other questions?
If I may add just one thing to that, since
Sure.
we're speaking about solar farms, and it's been brought to my attention about some of the other area communities that are have fees for the solar farms, implementing the solar farms. Just today I had emailed to me, and the assistant town manager is working with me as well on this, but just today I had a document sent to me from basically communities from all over the state with the different fees that they're charging to implement these solar farms, since they are popping up everywhere. And, a lot of these are coming around, several of these are around $1,200 per acre of a fee to implement the solar farms. Otherwise, it's just raw land that's taxed. So that's something that we'll work on. You'll hear more in the future here.
There is a, I can't remember, but there is a requirement where we get reimbursed as well for some of the savings, and it's similar to the homestead thing, and then it comes back to the town, although I don't know how it's measured. But as I also understand, at least according to the current CMP grid, there's room for one more farm in the town of Lisbon. So we already have two approved, so.
With the infrastructure in place now.
Yes,
the
with the
technology that we have
Yeah,
now.
it could change.
It could change, yeah.
The land won't change, however.
No, the land won't
CMP
change,
doesn't want
that's
to
right.
put in more equipment.
Yeah.
With that being said, is there any other questions? Comments or concerns? We'll go to a roll call vote.
Okay, roll call vote. Counselor Fellows?
Yes.
Counselor LaRochelle?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Aye.
Counselor Kane?
Yes.
Counselor Robichaud?
Yes.
Counselor Smith?
Yes.
Order passed. Okay. Moving ahead to Order 2022-202, Christmas Eve. This was put on the agenda. They do it every time this part of the year. Basically, Christmas Eve falls on Saturday this year. Christmas is going to be on Sunday, and it's observed on Monday the 26th. However, I wanted to have discussion with council about the possibility of closing a little bit early on Friday, December 23rd, to host a party for all Town of Lisbon employees to show appreciation and have a holiday party here, either at the town office or at the MTM Center, just to recognize the employees. Well, I'm not going to call it a Christmas party because there's a lot of different people that celebrate different things, but I'd like to have a holiday party if the council would entertain that.
Entertain a motion.
Make that motion.
A second.
Any discussions?
What is the motion?
The motion
To
is
approve
actually
closing, allow me to close early.
Close.
How
Yeah.
early?
Would early be.
Are you talking at noontime? Or are you talking?
Noontime would probably work, yeah.
Yeah. To be
So the motion is to close at noon?
It's a close early, which whatever would be deemed appropriate, I would assume, right?
That would work. Noon would work. We could say noon.
Yep.
11? You can say it out loud, it's okay.
11.
11 o'clock. But my idea is we had a morning breakfast before that went over really well because all the employees came. So that,
Team building's great, right? So, I mean, that's what that's all about, right? Like,
Yep.
call it what you want, but you're getting your whole team together right before Christmas. I think it's an excellent idea.
and you're all invited, part of the town.
If, I say close when you feel you need to have it and enjoy.
It's typically pretty slow before a holiday weekend anyway, so I thought that would be a good time. The finance director, in conversations with the finance director, we felt that was a good day to have some type of appreciation around the holidays. So.
That's great.
Council all set with that? Any other discussion?
Nope.
Are we putting actually a time to it, or are we just going to leave it?
If there was a time,
I
but
wouldn't
maybe there
put a
wasn't.
time.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
yeah.
I vote not to put a time to it.
Just when deemed appropriate by
Leave
the
it to the
town
manager's
manager.
discretion.
Yeah.
At the discretion?
Yeah.
There could be a new town manager by then.
So
We'll
that's
let them
your-
pick
that's
that.
your
You know, it'd
motion?
be a first
That's your
order of
motion,
business.
at
with
the
us.
discretion of the town manager, yeah.
Is that okay? Do we
Yeah.
have to reframe that? I
Okay.
don't want to get Ryan too much in
Can
the
I-
weeds
Without
on
the
this.
clerk here, it's a little wondering what the minutes are going to
Yeah,
look
that's
like.
right.
So the motion would be to
Video.
allow the town manager to close early on the Friday, December 23rd, before the holiday weekend. Okay. Roll call vote. Councilor Moore?
I seen his mouth. I didn't hear the.
We hear you.
Yeah.
All right, we get a thumbs up yes on that. Councilor Lunt?
Yes.
Councilor Fellows?
Yes?
Councilor Robichaud?
Yes.
Councilor Rochelle?
Yes.
Councilor Kane?
Yes.
Councilor Smith?
Yes.
Order passed. Thank you. Okay, Order 2022-203, Amendment to Chapter 14, GA Maximums and Appendices. This is the first reading.
And this comes up front of council every year. It's basically the state's requirements for the general assistance, which we have no control over. We just got to approve it. So,
I'll make the motion for discussion.
A second.
all right.
One question I have.
Just
I don't see Androscoggin County. I see Aroostook County, and I see LA area. Are we LA area?
I would say yes. We have Assistant Town Manager Glenn Mikulowski. He's the one that sent this forward, and I printed it off. This affects the entire state, am I correct, Glenn?
Yeah, you're the Lewiston Auburn area. I believe the max homes are only going up from like 754 to 789, but I don't have the attachments in front of me because I've only got them on the screen.
Okay.
I was just looking at the,
But the answer is yes to Don's question.
Okay, thank you.
It is surprising that they don't list it as Androscoggin County or,
Oh, they
yeah.
don't.
Yeah,
It seems
kind of
bizarre,
weird. But LA works, I
but
guess.
We're getting tapped into, the big,
we have
Yeah,
Cumberland County, and it's all one rate for Cumberland County. That's a lot, pretty diverse,
Yeah.
so,
This is true.
does that answer your question to a certain extent?
I suppose.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move to roll call.
Okay, Councilor Fellows,
Yes.
Councilor LaRochelle,
Yes.
Councilor Lunt,
Yes.
Councilor Moore,
Aye.
Councilor Kane,
Yes.
Councilor Robichaud,
Yes.
Councilor Smith.
Yes.
Order passed. Moving ahead to Order 2022-204, Rumbo Waterfront Funding Request for Safety Lighting, and we'll have Economic Community Development Director Ross Cunningham speak on that.
Good evening, everybody. Ross Cunningham, Economic Community Development Director. As talked about numerous times for the Warumbo Development site, we've been working on procuring safety lighting as sort of our last step to make the site ready. This and some grant funding we hope to receive. We'll do some removal of the hardtop, but that'll prep the site to hand over to a nonprofit and manage from there and do some work on the design. In reaching out, I was notified by Enterprise Electric that they had just removed 5 30-foot LED light poles from the Brunswick Landing, and they wanted to donate that to this project. The caveat being, excuse me, that they are in need of new LEDs. So the bid to install these 5 poles along the back, basically along the railroad tracks, facing out towards the river. The bid was $51,905. The new LEDs would bring that up by $5,237, but we take a $700 clock part off because these new LEDs have photo sensors that come on automatically. So the bid would land at $56,442. The donated poles are worth about $6,000. If we got donated poles with the new LEDs in them, they'd be worth about $11,000 each. So it's a good donation. In the last 2 days, however, I've had a conversation with Enterprise Electric since I submitted this, and we've decided that we would like to, the 5 poles that are along the back wall, we want to be able to put a switch in so we can turn off the 3 that are down along the Railroad Tavern. If there's a concert down there or something, you don't want these coming on in the middle of the concert and destroying the ambiance. So we have to put a switch in. He ballparked that over the phone at about $1,000. So what I'd like to do is take my bid request from $56,442 up to a not to exceed $58,000. Gives me $1,600 to work with, so he can do that extra conduit and a switch to turn off those 3. Had a conversation with the Railroad Tavern, and they're interested in maybe keeping their end of the field dark when there's nothing going on down there, so that they don't lose their ambiance on their back deck, and I respect that. So the 2 down on the parking lot side would stay on the whole time and keep the parking lot safety and lit, and when there were an outdoor event where we wanted to use the other 3, we can flick those on. So the request is to do not to exceed $58,000 to be taken from the downtown TIF budget. Current balance is $245,000.22. We added $97,000 this year to that TIF account. Additionally, because of the donated lights, I'd like to request a sole source funding on this, so I don't have to go to bid because there's no way to replace, 5 donated light poles in a bid process. So, any questions?
Entertain
Make
a
a
motion
motion
for
for a
discussion?
Make that motion for discussion.
A second.
Any questions for council?
Did you say that switch was included in this price?
It's in the not to exceed 58. It's not included in the 56.4
Okay.
because he has to run extra conduit and things. And in addition to that, we're also talking about saving some money by trying to use Public Works to do some of the trenching.
And the location for the lights, I noted, well, you mentioned turning the lights off for railroad, but it looks like the light pattern from looking at this thing all shines in the field, not on them.
Well, if you look, the poles are back along the railroad, and you
Right.
can see that the lights all have backlights. If you look, the red lines
Okay,
go
okay.
back over the
Gotcha.
railroad because they don't just shine forward.
Gotcha.
I could also talk about whether or not we could put some sort of baffle on the back of them to stop it from shining back as much. But the idea was to take the three to the left most and put those on a switch so we could turn those off. And primarily for events. You know, if you have a concert going on down there, you want these lights coming on right where the lights go out.
Well, I guess it depends on what goes on out there, whether you need security or not,
That's
but
true,
they are
sure.
security lights.
Oh, we can't turn them on, but I meant during like a performance, you don't want the floodlights coming on and ruining any light show or anything that's happening during a concert.
And they're down away from Canal Street because there's already lighting down there.
Well, the first one, I think you put the first one in such a way that the light pattern would just get to the end of the parking lot.
Okay.
We could certainly edge it towards Canal Street if you felt that was
Well, I
appropriate.
didn't know why. I mean, I know there's lighting, ambient lighting down there, but
Right, no,
That's
I think
probably
I think that first one, he just put the light pattern in so that it covers that and they overlap.
All set? Any other questions?
Question,
Sure.
Council Moore?
where's the switch gonna be?
So to the left of the railroad, looking at the map, there's a group of birch trees right now. The power panel will be in that section, and that'll have the switch and additional outlets for stages and food trucks and things like that on there, providing all the power we need. And we know that at some point, the nonprofit group may want to add another power station somewhere, and this is designed to feed out of that to somewhere else if we need to.
Is the switch gonna be secured so it can't be turned on and off randomly by?
We need to have that conversation. I believe that's our intention. I don't know if right now there's a lock budgeted in, but we can figure that out. Yes.
Okay. I would recommend that it be secured somehow.
Yes.
Any other questions, Council? And you just answered my question, because the question I was going to have is if the power source was going to be there for plug-ins and
It
stuff
is.
like
This
that.
involves putting actually an additional telephone pole down in the parking, just on the edge of the parking lot to bring the line over from, basically we're coming from the railroad driveway. There's the last pole there, that transformer. Coming over, we'll put a new pole in, and then we'll come off that pole and feed the whole thing. And again, it'll be at a power panel just past the railroad along the railroad tracks, and we can go from that power panel later to other sites should we need to expand.
And they feel that the power they're bringing in is going to be adequate for whatever.
Yeah,
they run.
actually checked with LA Music, one of the local music providers, the folks who did the Blues Festival, and asked what their suggested requirements are. And then with Jeff Kelly, we upped it a little bit to make sure we had plenty.
yeah, I would just concur with Harry in that I wouldn't want some random person deciding we don't want lights down there tonight for whatever reason.
That's correct. Yeah.
Absolutely. Any other further questions?
Ross,
Sir?
did we, check on crossing the right of way, the railroad tracks for
We
that?
we have to work our way through that. We've had one conversation with CMP and DOT, and we just need to follow up and that close the loop. It sounds like it's very routine. It's just a permit we have to file for and get.
Okay. Thank you.
If we're all set, we'll move forward to roll call vote, please.
Okay, moving forward to roll call. Councilor Fellows,
Yes.
Councilor Arshel,
Yes.
Councilor Lunt,
Yes.
Councilor Moore,
Aye.
Councilor Kane,
Yes.
Councilor Robichaud,
Yes.
Councilor Smith.
Yes.
Order passed. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Thank you. Okay, moving forward to Order 2022-205 to approve the interim town manager to secure fuel pricing with main power options.
Maybe you can give us a detail?
I will. You get a discussion?
Well, once
I'll
you
get a
give the
detail.
detail, maybe we'll-
I'll be receiving pricing by the end of the day tomorrow. I did follow up with main power options, and usually main power options, we get the pricing in the springtime. I did reach out to main power options. The previous town manager actually got me set up in January on their website, so I had been in regular communication with them, and then the person's been there forever changed. But the new person also explained that it wouldn't be wise to do bidding in the spring because prices were so high. They believed that they would go down. They have gone down. I just spoke to her recently as well. They actually have the bids due back by end of day tomorrow. So myself and anybody else with main power options will be able to see the new bids. We don't have a ballpark on what the bids will be, But, the pricing that we had over a year ago was obviously very low pricing. We did just recently get a bid for fuel, and that bid on fuel was about, if it was not contracted and we still purchased it through that company, it was about 60 cents more a gallon than what we were currently paying, not contracted. So, municipal pricing still is pretty good, but I do not know exactly what that's going to be. We know it's going to be a little bit more. The finance director and I did take some of that into account when we were doing the budgeting process. Obviously, fuel prices were going up. I don't think anybody expected them to ever go as high as they have, but they are going now finally in the right direction. So it'd be for 1 year. It's not for our electricity or anything like that. This is going to be for our number 2 fuel, our diesel, and our gas. The town has had some changes this year, which made it a little bit difficult trying to figure out the gallon usage. Usually we can just go on previous years. Unfortunately, the school department has changed, or fortunately, they've changed a lot of their fleet over from diesel to gas. So we actually aren't using as much diesel anymore, and we're using more gas. Hence, we're going to have a bigger fuel tank here pretty shortly. So I did have Public Works Director figure out the gallons moving forward with the buses and what we've been seeing. And we do have a good plan moving forward on the estimated usage. We offset the diesel. We lowered that. We then increased the gas gallons that we're going to be using. And we think we'll be in pretty good shape with the amount of gallons used for the year. And I'm hoping by the end of the day tomorrow that we have that pricing back. Actually, we will have it by the end of the day tomorrow, I'm told. So, problem is, we have to lock in by September 30th. Otherwise, next council meeting is after that. And if we don't lock in, then obviously we don't have contracted pricing. So it's definitely going to be expensive if we don't have a contract. So,
Entertain a motion for discussion.
So moved.
I'll second that.
And I have spoken to somebody else who has experience with Maine Power Options. They explain that has been a really good option for municipalities our size in the past, and it's expected to be the same moving forward. I don't have any experience with it. That's why I was asking the questions. So that's pretty much where I'm at with the information I have.
I mean, the idea of 60 cents is still pretty reasonable compared to what we're seeing over last year's prices. So, I mean, I would...
And that was gas, and that was on the bill that we just received from the Public Works Administrative Assistant. It's like 60-something cents
Number
difference.
2 is going to be the tricky one. I mean, the gas and diesel can somewhat stabilize, but number 2 seems to be not many places really want to lock in at this point in time.
And it's good that we're using less diesel because diesel is more expensive than gas, so that was a good thing. We were able to reduce that number.
Any other questions for council? I'd say we definitely, if the vote goes through, we'll leave it on you to actually just make sure that what we're looking at is fair and reasonable, and whatever we lock in, as long as we're budgeted for it, we're good, right? We should be all set.
I will say whoever started the town working with the Maine Municipal Bond Bank with Maine Power Options was a smart move because it definitely seems like the most financially feasible way to go to get the best pricing because you're locking in with all these other municipalities. So it was
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If there's no other questions, we'll move forward to roll call vote, please.
Okay. Roll call vote. Councilor Fellers,
Yes.
Councilor LaRochelle,
Yes.
Councilor Lunt,
Yes.
Councilor Moore,
Aye.
Councilor Kane,
Yes.
Councilor Robichaud,
Yes.
Councilor Smith.
Yes.
Order passed.
Perfect. Next one is going to be other business, is going to be the council committee reports at school. I have nothing tonight. Planning board, fellows?
Last meeting, they approved Grimmel lot, which was one modification to a subdivision, adding one lot. And then the sign ordinance was a point of discussion, and the sign ordinance was, actually, action on it was tabled pending a review by a group of people put together recently, 2 staff members, 2 planning board members, and 2 town councilors to discuss direction and corrections and the future look of the sign ordinance. As of this moment, we're still in discussion as to what changes need to be made.
But it is moving forward.
It is.
Lisbon Development Committee? I'm not sure if you want to add anything there while you're right here, sir?
Thank you, no problem. And so we started this week on our discussion about the abandoned property ordinance, and now we're sort of looking into other towns and what they're doing. I did just see in the news that Litchfield, Livermore, one of those towns to the west, has started enforcing their property cleanup ordinance, and so we'll see how that tracks, and if they get a lot of feedback and push back on that. Also, we're still moving forward on the banner project. We're this close to done. But the good news is, because we were able to save a whole bunch of money on receiving donated poles from the previous PCL program, they donated to us because they're not using them anymore. We saved a whole bunch of money, and we can now buy 2 banners, so we have seasonal banner options as well. So,
Very
and
cool.
meeting is a month from yesterday, or a month from last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday.
Right. That's right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Conservation Committee? Councilor Moore?
Yeah, you see what happened on the river, right? So, who's that?
What's happening on the river, right? The dam?
They tore the dam out.
Yep.
Tearing the dam out.
Okay.
Conservation Committee, I guess, is part of that. Kind of obliquely.
And Parks and Recreation?
Obliquely. Ray, somebody tell Ray what that means.
Oh, gee, here we go. Here we go.
And also Parks and Recreation while you're active?
I don't know if they got stuck over there when Her Royal Highness passed away or not. I don't know if they were back before that.
The rec department is safely back in the United States with their 40 Lisbon residents.
Right. Were they over there when Her Royal Highness passed?
Yeah.
I think they were probably flying back or close to it.
Yeah, so they've been in Scotland.
Yep.
So that's all I have for the Parks and Rec.
Perfect. County budget, Councilor Moore, Mr. Lunt. Councilor Lunt?
Nothing to report.
Nothing yet coming up. That will be starting to get pretty active here coming up, I believe, right? The county budget as we move
Budget,
forward.
yes.
It's perfect.
I did hear tonight, if I can just add one thing,
Absolutely.
I did hear today rumor about the county budget being up 8% of last year, so I didn't know if you've heard that while you've been following along, but I did just hear that today.
This year, we don't have direct representatives on that committee. Are you attending as an audience member? or-
Probably not, but if I don't have a vote, you're welcome to attend.
Councilor Moore, are you actually going to be active at all following the county budget process?
If I can be, yes. I plan on being it.
Be curious to see if they could use some of those ARPA funds to lower that 8%.
I don't, do they broadcast their meeting?
I believe they do. They usually have a
They do,
camera
you can, we
recording.
can watch it that way.
Yeah.
and see
Yeah,
what's going
I
on.
send out the agendas, but there's never an attachment on their website. Actually, I believe Councilor Lund's correct that you
Yeah,
can.
Could
usually
we-
Somebody there with a camera recording it.
Could we maybe, just before I forget about it, I know just recently we actually did a vote for people to represent us in the county. Could we actually ask them maybe to attend one of our meetings so we can ask our questions and maybe share our concerns prior to the budget season?
Okay.
You know, they do represent us. It wouldn't be fair for them to come in if a possibility just to
I think
see
they're
where they
both-
were at, right?
I think they're both from Sabatis
Correct,
as
yeah.
well, yeah.
And if nothing else, we'll know how that works. So next year, when things get voted on, maybe we can actually have play more of a role. The next thing is library governing board. Councilor Lunt.
I think
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I suspect they're going to want to use those ARPA funds for the new sheriff's department. Just saying.
I would think you're correct, but it'd be one of those things where it's having $20 million to spend. It seems odd to have our part of the taxes go up 8%, but that's just an opinion. Doesn't mean anything. So, be nice to be represented though either way. So maybe if we get someone that comes in that's going to represent our area there, maybe we can just ask them some questions and express our concerns and see if that can happen. Governing Board, Library?
Well, we just heard from
just-
Diane, so I don't have anything additional to add.
Yep, I think we're in good hands there. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we have a great librarian to keep her as long as we can.
Absolutely. Water Commission?
The Water Commission is still working on corrosion control and the preliminary works for a lot of that. They're implementing slowly. That they're also doing or have done a mixer valve for the Lisbon Falls tank. And it's the first time the mixing valve has ever had one due to temperature differences and a lot of complications that they've had over the past. But in the process of doing that, they'll be chlorinating when they get all done that end of town, which has never been chlorinated before. So that's part of the process. This end of town, off the Moody well, most of it is chlorinated.
Interesting. Are they going to share that with the public so the public has some different smells and tastes that they will be aware? Or
I'm not sure what they're sharing. I'm sharing.
you are sharing,
And
yes.
their meeting is public.
If nothing that you see, if you don't see on social media, we definitely know what's happening with the water system. in
Yeah,
the
well,
community,
I
so-
think they did acknowledge that they expect phone calls because when the chlorine is added, it's going to be a different taste to the Lisbon, those people that are fed off that tank.
Maybe we ought to reach out, and maybe we can actually even use some of our social media out front signs or whatever to actually allow people to know what's going to happen. It's always better to have a little bit of pre-warning.
I'm
I'm
not-
not sure how that affects people that actually have businesses that actually use the water
Oh,
for
yeah.
certain ingredients for their product. So it may be nice to know when that's going to happen. But with that being said, the next one is Finance Committee.
I have nothing new.
Okay. Moving forward to Town Manager's Report. Maybe the clerk can give that to us tonight.
We can do that. I'll make a quick note here of myself. Double duties. Was that a mixing valve, Counselor? Fellows?
It is a mixing valve, yes, that they have already installed,
Okay.
but that's not, and the chlorine is added at some point after that.
Okay. We will look into that. Thank you. All right, Town Manager's Report. So first, I'll give an update on the Village Street Route 196 lights. Public Works and Electrical Systems of Maine have been working hard in getting these all completed and fixed. The rain has not been helping things, but how Craig from ESM advised they will have it completed by the end of next week is when they will have the lights finally taken care of on the Village Street 196 area. And we're also working to get some light bulbs taken care of as well along the 196 corridor. We also learned about some lights that are owned by Faro Mill, actually, along 196. 9 of them, actually. So, but we're working to have that done by the end of next week. At this point, the construction's done from Public Works, and it's just waiting on ESM. Also moving ahead, given the recent rain and forecast for this coming Thursday, Northeast Paving will not be closing Ferry Road from Wednesday to Friday of this week. This is being moved to next week for the road closure for the large culvert replacement between Gross Development, it'll be Marshall Street, up to Hewden Road on Ferry Road. Now that'll be next Monday, the 26th, through Wednesday, the 28th. This has already been updated on the town office sign this afternoon, our Facebook, and all of our public safety, as well as the transportation director from the school has also been made aware. At the last council meeting, it was you allowed me to be able to close the roads. It only made sense. This was a large culvert, so that's going to be Monday to Wednesday next week, and just wanted to make sure the public could hear that in the council tonight. Moving forward, the Public Works Recreation Director, Mark Stevens, has been working with the Public Works Director, and they found a 2022 Dodge dump truck and a Fisher V-Plow. The truck is like brand new. It was purchased in April of this year by the previous owner. It has 7,000 miles. The truck has no issues. It was only traded in as it was too large for the previous owner. The Lisbon Public Works mechanic has already checked it over and advised it looks like new. The vehicle does come with all of the factory warranties of a 3-year, 36,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty transferred to Lisbon, a 5-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty, a 5-year anti-corrosion warranty, as well as a 5-year roadside assistance warranty for jump starts and tire service. The town is looking at purchasing this vehicle. It's classified as used because it does have 7,000 miles. For the rec department from Sabatis Auto Sales this week. We do have $50,000, and the finance director has been involved with this. We do have $50,000 from the budget, which was during the budget process. We also have an additional $15,000 in insurance funds from a vehicle accident where a old Lisbon police cruiser that was given to Parks and Recs Department was totaled, not by the town's fault, and we're given $15,000 in insurance, which is pretty good because we're only going to get $3,000 for trade-in. But moving ahead, and then the remainder would be through the rec department spending account. As this is over the original allotted amount, however, you can see we do have the funds available. I want to make the council aware of this upcoming purchase. So, and where it's, and see if there's any discussion or any questions from council on that.
And that's with the plow and the dump and everything's all installed, so it's a complete package, so.
It's a complete package. In speaking to the public works director, also we ran a Carfax on it. It was literally purchased in April, and it was just traded in to Spatus Auto Sales for the person wanted a smaller vehicle. It was too big for them, and I mean it's immaculate. And our mechanic checked it over as well.
Do we have to approve the expenditure of those funds?
Not where it's under the purchasing policy, where it's a used vehicle. We do not, but where it's over what we originally intended, I have to make that council aware of it under the policy.
Would you rather do it
You're
under
right,
a motion?
you would need to request the exemption for the used vehicles that they approved just from you. You're just asking for authorization to use the exemption for used vehicles.
So would you want
So I
to do
guess I
that
do.
under a motion as far as to make that official? The
Okay.
purchasing and the exemption of the used vehicle policy?
We'll do it as a roll call vote.
Yeah, what's the exact price? What's the exact price on that again?
The total figure?
The exact price is $68,900.
Okay.
Yep. So $50,000 is budgeted. $15,000 will come from the insurance funds that we have, and then $3,900 will come from the Rex reserve account that we have.
68, what?
$68,900.
Do you want to write that and speak on that motion?
Well, I would make the motion to use the exempt vehicle exception and to purchase for $68,900 this used vehicle from Sabatis Vehicles.
Auto
Sabatis
sales, yeah.
Auto.
Second that?
I'll second.
Thank you.
I guess we'll move forward with a roll call vote.
Okay, roll call vote. Councilor Fellows?
Yes.
Councilor Arshow?
Yes.
Councilor Lunt?
Yes.
Councilor Moore? Councilor Kane?
Yes.
Councilor Robichaud?
Yes.
Councilor Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. Order passed. Gotta stop chuckling next time. You're having too much fun.
You're doing a good job, sir.
All right, I still have a little bit left here. Sorry.
Interim clerk manager.
So we take one
We are
pass
definitely
of
working in
roll.
town to actually have everybody cross-trained, so everybody can actually play everybody's role as we go through, so.
There's openings in the sewer department, Ryan, when you wrap the clerk's gig.
Sounds good. You're back Thursday, you said? Yeah. All right, moving forward, the American Rescue Plan Act. I want to take a moment to review the American Rescue Plan Act and the funding available for upcoming projects here in Lisbon. Management team have reviewed the needs and best use of these funds moving forward and wanted to update and review with the town council. If I can just have the finance director maybe just have a seat up too in case any questions come up. You just have to turn that mic on when you get up there. So, actually, I'll go through it. If there's any questions, you can say you're good. So, in the first page of the American Rescue Plan Act, the town of Lisbon received $476,087.63. That was the first amount of money we received. The second half was $475,535.15 for a total offer received to the town of Lisbon is $951,622.78. Less expended the qualified disaster relief payment of $198,803. That leaves Lisbon with $752,819.78 of American Rescue Plan Act. With that, the first phase of it will be a rescue unit of $250,000, equipment and supplies for that unit, $150,000, and a reserve account for any overages or changes for this first phase would be $23,000. total being $423,000 for that proposed first phase of that project. And just for everybody's aware, the purpose of this is we have to have a plan for the American Rescue Plan Act. We have to report a plan to them. So this is a requirement for those funds. On phase 2 of that will be police department body-worn cameras. That was a goal of the police department this year, and that would be $63,000. That would be to upfit the entire police department, every officer on the department, from the chief down, and also for the equipment needed in the server room to update our current WatchGuard system. The second item would be a police unmarked vehicle at $32,000. This would not be a police cruiser. This would be a vehicle that was used for undercover work for our Lisbon officers, and it would also be used for officers to be able to use to go to trainings. It would not look like a cruiser. And we would be looking at purchasing, like a hybrid type green vehicle, and that's why it's at $32,000, because the costs are a little bit more than. Moving along, police fire UTV. Speaking with the fire chief, we decided it was best to have a shared unit that both the police department or the fire department could use. The fire departments responded to several woods fires, and with the expansion of ATV trails in town, our ATV at the police department is 2003, I believe, 2003, 2004. It'd be good to update that and also get a multi-use vehicle so both departments would be able to use it. Moving forward, that's $34,000 budgeted for that. The next line item is police fire IMC software at $60,000. The current IMC TriTech software that we have it's not at end of life, but it's end of, there's no more updates for it anymore. They haven't told us when that was going to be phased out. TriTech has developed a new police software system. It's IMC Pro is what it's called. I've already had meetings with the sheriff and the chiefs in the area, and that is the direction that everybody's looking at going. There's already several sheriff's departments in the state that have gone that direction. They're pretty much on the list to move forward with IMC Pro. That cost would include not just the police department, but also for the fire department to be able to switch over to the software. That does not include the integration of all the data that we have. That is going to be a substantial dollar figure, and I'm in communications with the Sheriff's Department to see if we can get them to use their ARPA funding to switch all of the Sheriff's Department, Lewiston, Auburn, everybody in the county over at one time, so we can have, because that's something that benefits them as well. So I'm in works with them, but that's go ahead, Council Moore. Do you have a question?
Maybe when you were talking about the county, I just chuckled a little bit.
Oh, sorry. All right, and moving along, fire department washer dryer unit for $20,000. That's not your typical washer dryer unit. With all the contaminants and whatnot, that's something that is a need for the fire department to keep our firefighters safe. Fit testing machine at $20,000. The police department and the fire department both utilize a fit testing machine, especially we all have apparatus that we wear gas masks at the police department that we have, as well as the fire department. We have the attachment for it. There's a unit that we share that's older from other agencies, but it's proved hard to get at times. And we believe we're at a point now where the entire police department has to be fitted yearly, and the fire department. We looked at going outside as well. It's very costly to have somebody do the fit testing for us through WorkMed, so we decided that it was best to get our own instrument. It's a computer device that hooks up to our masks. Library egress at $20,000 at the library. I met with all department heads, and we talked about any concerns of the departments this year. And one concern that came up was the library. There's not an egress. If the librarian's in her office in the back of the building, she has no way of getting out of that building, or any patron that's in the library. There used to be a door on the back side upstairs, and that was bricked off. I wasn't part of those communications. I met with the fire chief. I met with the library director, and that $20,000 is going to be used for safe access for people to get out of the library in case of an emergency. Moving ahead to the MTM Center bathroom remodel to make them ADA compliant and updated. I don't know if anybody in here has been in the bathrooms at the MTM Center.
They did remodels back in 1970. So.
They needed remodels in the 70s. But that's long overdue, and I think that's definitely a use for these funds as well. Moving
Toilets and sinks and you name it.
Moving ahead, security doors at the town office, $10,000. We are having a security assessment done. That is a free assessment that's being done this coming month. So that those funds will potentially be used according to what this professional assessment is being done by the state for the safety of people in the office. HVAC air quality control of the town office, $15,000. What that is the thermostat controls are operated by basically. They are a sole source thermostat, meaning the only person that can really do anything with those is that one company. And the company we're speaking to explains that there is a better option that we can utilize where anybody could work on it, and it wouldn't be kind of a monopoly where only one person can work on it, which proves very costly. So that's something that we're looking to update.
So what you're saying is when we start a council meeting by 7 o'clock, we won't all start melting because the AC turned off.
Exactly. And then moving forward, code enforcement vehicle at $25,000, and the total for phase 2 would be $329,000, which the grand total for phase 1 and phase 2 is the $752,000, and that's all going to be from federal funds, the American Rescue Plan Act. That would not be any money or match money or anything from Lisbon taxpayers, which is important to know. And it's all items that would be offset in our capital improvement plans and things that we wanted to do in the future. So that's really is a direct savings to the community. With that now having been reviewed, the spending plan, there is a time-sensitive item that is on this plan that will be going up in price October 1st. With that being said, I ask Fire Chief Leclerc to come to the podium, speak further to the council on this, since it is also a sole source item and would need to be ordered. We would need a motion at the end by a councilor after hearing from Chief Leclerc in order to give permission to move forward on this purchase.
So pretty much the idea of it is time sensitive, so we would actually need to make a motion at this council session to actually make this work. So you can just be brief if you like.
Yeah, so there is a few items of equipment that the prices go up at the end of this month. Matter of fact, the quote's only good to the end of this week with a 10% increase. And we're talking items such as a heart monitor defibrillator with the change in main EMS protocols. Basic EMT is allowed to do what we call 12 EKGs. And this machine is $35,000. And there's only one vendor I can buy this machine from. It's not like I can go out to bid for this one item. It's a factory direct sale. So there's that, and there's a few other items that are costly, and they're only one. Again, they're all through the same vendor, and it's through Stryker Medical. So it's a factory direct sale. So I can't just go out to bid for these items.
So Chief, are we actually looking to actually make a motion to approve the plan as written, pretty much? Or we don't have to do individual items, right? We can just approve this plan as presented?
We could approve the plan as presented. Regardless, we're going to have to come back.
Yeah.
When we go out to bid for certain items due to our purchasing policy, we're still going to have to have approvals as we move forward to following our purchasing policy.
So do we actually have to, I guess I just want to make sure when we make the motion on this that we actually have we are approving this plan, but also do we have to make a separate motion for the sole source?
Yes, we do need a motion for the sole source item that the fire
medical. And
correct.
do those, is there a dollar figure on just the items that you would be doing sole sourcing on?
Yeah,
$142,000.
$142,000.
Yeah, $142,000.
And that would be part of phase 1.
Yeah. Okay. Do you, Councilor Fellows, are prepared to make a motion on this, or would you like it presented out? Or?
I'm not sure what I'm making as a motion, but
I can actually kind of put something together if you.
Well, you can make the motion.
Yeah,
you're allowed.
Basically, I'd make the motion that we approve the American Rescue Act plan as presented, and to allow the town to go out to purchase $142,000 worth of equipment that would be sole sourced, so we can get it in a timely fashion before the prices go up.
And I would second that motion.
Perfect. Did you actually get to that?
Yep.
All right, if
I
not,
got
we'll
it.
make it work. It's all on video, so regardless what you have shorthand, I'm sure it will be corrected if necessary. So,
All right. If
with
that's
that being said, we'll do a roll call vote.
Counselor Fellows?
Yes.
Counsel,
Are we having discussion, or are we just gonna vote?
We can actually have all the discussion you like, sir. Councilor Moore?
I just want to know the impact of these, this project will have on our regular budget. So for example, the police unmarked vehicle, is that going to have lights and a radio and stuff inside?
that vehicle,
Marked lights?
that vehicle would be similar to what it won't be a Ford Fusion, but the way the Ford Fusion was set up before, but it would be a vehicle that you would never know is a police car, and it could be used for surveillance. And it would be set up so we could use it in an emergency situation. But yes,
But do we have the equipment to equip it, or do we have to get the equipment for it?
nope, I do. I don't have all the equipment. I have the expensive equipment, which would be the radios. Part of that dollar figure would be taking care of some of the LEDs, but the radios, I already have the radio equipment, and it would be very little lighting because it's not going to be a marked vehicle. It's going to be a complete unmarked vehicle.
The body-worn cameras,
Yes,
are they going to require their own server, I assume?
correct. So not their own server. What they're going to do is it's going to be the terabytes that we have and the recording that we'll need to keep. We're going to make sure that we have enough terabytes. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but the server is part of that. And on top of that, it's also individualized for certain people that outside of patrol to be issued body-worn cameras. So there's some type of modem devices. So when people come in, they automatically upload to the server remotely through the cloud, kind of like how the cruisers are right now. The cruisers, for the officers that have the WatchGuard mic packs, and the cruisers, when you shut them off, when the cruiser pulls in, it automatically uploads. There'll have to be a charging pack at the police department, so it'll automatically upload when you come back in.
And the WatchGuard has its own server, correct?
Yes, it does, and that was just upgraded 2 years ago now.
I guess I'm looking to see what impact getting all this stuff is great, using ARPA funds, it's federal money and all that stuff. But we're going to have to pay down the road to maintain it or get sort of the peripheral stuff that's needed to run it and store it and things like that. So I'd like to see some estimate of what that might cost in the regular budget process.
So part of the capital improvement plan down the road of life expectancy and replacing it?
Is that where it's going to be covered?
Yeah.
For replacement of it, we'd have to, anything that's more than $10,000, we'll put on the capital improvement plan for 5 years out and 10 years out, and that would be included in the capital improvement plan. So as we move forward, we have an idea down the road when we need to start phasing in new replacements of the body-worn cameras. And the body-worn camera that was chosen when I was working with WatchGuard it's a newer, it's this year's model camera. It's not one of the Vistas that's been in existence for a long time. So it's a proven company, and WatchGuard was bought out recently by Motorola. So all of our WatchGuard equipment will be phased into more of a Motorola vendor, I guess you could say.
Now, I guess following with Council Moore, a lot of this, the funds, this second part of this, the second phase, when are those funds available? Are they available now?
Yes.
So I guess going along with that, is there anything that's actually going to be in this purchasing which, I mean, some of it, like the code enforcement vehicle, I mean, that's one of those things where we already have. It's just now we're going to be updated to a new vehicle instead of being a used one.
Correct.
But is there anything that's going to affect this budget we're currently in that would actually, is there anything going to tap in, as he's mentioning, to be cost extra beyond this in this year's budget?
So
some
it's
of the
going to
stuff
affect
out of the ways,
the
but-
upcoming budget.
Yeah.
It's gonna affect the upcoming budget by reducing it, because some of the items like the body worn cameras, there's no grants available to solely fund body worn cameras, and then the other part was matching those funds with ARPA money. So my game plan before realizing this is an item that we could use for it was to add money to the upcoming budget in order. So basically, I would have been coming to you asking for about $35,000 to add to my budget to apply for a body-worn camera grant that would match at 50%, if they still have that next year. That would have been one item. The unmarked vehicle, it's something that the police department has not gone forward because there's other priorities wanting to have that type of vehicle. We've used old cruisers in place in the CID unit, but I've heard from several people in our department that they really wanted a vehicle that was unmarked. It would be more prudent. Even recently, I've had officers using their personal vehicles to do surveillance on houses because all we have, is marked cruisers. I can't have officers using their personal vehicles. So that's why that came to the forefront. The UTV, after, basically with the ATV trail discussions and whatnot, it was decided that the next budget, we'd be asking to get a UTV for the police department to upgrade our 2003 or 2004 ATV. So that's something that would be reduced from our budget. The police fire IMC software, I didn't know anything about this until we had IMC from TriTech come and meet with us early summer and explained that they're no longer doing any more updates on our software system. So that was dropped on us. The whole sheriff's department's looking to move forward with that. That being said, I would definitely be coming to the council, the next budget, asking for funds to update our software system because it's only a matter of time once they stop doing updates, how long that will last.
So there's nothing really in this particular budget season that will incur any cost from what we're purchasing. Possibly the next budget season we'll have to review of any maintenance and upkeep and of some of the other purchases if needed, but that will be into the future, not so much as this budget.
Correct.
that
If
we're in.
I could interject, I think
Sure.
that if you're talking about those like ancillary expenses that impact the overarching, like if you're looking at a vehicle, we've already budgeted for vehicle repairs, we've budgeted appropriately for gas. So if we're going to get a new code enforcement officer vehicle, I think it would have a positive effect on the current budget because we're not going to be having as many vehicle maintenance done. The current vehicle he has is much older. It's been hot potatoed around between departments. So there's a lot of vehicle maintenance on that current vehicle, but by getting a new one, I think that would have a positive impact on the current budget because we won't be having as much maintenance done on it. And then we don't expect any of the other items to impact the FY23 budget in a negative way. As Ryan indicated, if anything, it would be positive prospectively because we would have had it planned out in the upcoming fiscal years to add to our municipal budget, but we would be purchasing it through these federal funds.
Does that answer some of your questions, Councilor Moore? Or I'm sure there's more discussion to come as we move forward with some of the purchases.
Yeah, I'm guessing there's going to be more discussion.
Any other questions from council at all?
I think these are all reasonable buys here. Seems like stuff that makes sense.
Chief, right now, if you would actually have a four-wheeler accident, God knows halfway between here and Lisbon, or how would you actually access that at this moment?
We actually have a call list in dispatch with the ATV clubs.
So you would actually pull somebody in to actually assist you, a volunteer
Yes.
in a sense.
Yeah. I've had discussions with the trail riders from Lisbon and the hardcore guys in Lisbon Falls. The hard part is that their group is like a lot of the other groups. They change their officer positions on on a regular basis. But they've been very good to deal with. If we need to contact them, we reach out to one of the club members, they go through their contact list, and we get ATVs coming out of our backside.
So,
They're a good group, but yeah, that's what we have to deal with. If we have an incident, whether it's a fire out on those trails or whether it's an accident, we're reaching out to those groups to get assistance.
So the only problem with that, the issue that it's great to have those resources to be able to get us there, but how do we get the injured victim back out? And the chief and I have looked, and there's UTVs that actually have rescue skids and stretchers that can go in the back. There's everything from that to water pumps.
And we don't know what type of UTV or ATV we're going to get when we call the group. They might help us get equipment out, but they're not designed to bring people back in. If you're getting a sporting type UTV that's more designed for performance versus work, or someone brings out a four-wheeler versus a UTV, you never know what you're going to get.
so there's a plan, and
Yeah.
would this be housed possibly at a fire station, or most likely?
Most likely here, for now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, I think it's definitely, there's a lot of it happening out there, and the idea of it eventually having some type of circumstance we respond to is not if, it's just a matter of when. Yep. So,
Definitely growing in popularity.
absolutely, yep.
Absolutely.
I mean, you could literally call it Lisbon Public Safety Vehicle, and with the LEDs now, you can have them blue or red lights in the same LED by which
Switch,
button
yeah.
you turn on. So either department could use it at any time.
Councilor Moore, did you have anything further?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the PD does have an ATV, so we could go on a trail now if we had to.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep, we had a Polaris Sportsman 500, either 2003, 2004, so we could get out there.
Yeah, I just don't want the impression that if something happens on a trail that at least the PD can't get there.
Yeah.
They can.
Yep.
Good point. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion prior to vote? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Okay. Councilor Moore?
Hey.
Councilor Rochelle?
Yes.
Councilor Lunt?
Yes.
Councilor Moore? Councilor Robichaud?
Yes.
Councilor Fellows?
Yes.
Councilor Smith?
Yes.
Councilor Kane?
Yes.
Order passed. All right, moving ahead. Okay, you want to update the council on the green purchasing policy. We have reviewed this with all department heads in a round table discussion. Department heads expressed some different concerns regarding this policy. One concern was not having people bid on items that we put out, since we already have a very difficult time getting people to bid on things due to supply and demand issues. However, we are all in agreement it would be a good idea to have a green purchasing document to help guide employees on how to be more sustainable. We as department heads feel at this point we need more time to work on this. The consensus is that we would like to have until the end of the year or a little longer to come up with a sustainable, going green guiding document that employees could use. The purpose would be to have something to guide us on how to make responsible, sustainable purchases into the future that would be more fluid to allow fiscally responsible purchases that would not burden taxpayers or department heads and reach the common goal of going green. We will put together a group of department heads from within the town and to work on this project with the assistant town manager and myself to see this important goal move forward. And I wanted to see if the town council was okay with updating this goal. I'm looking at Councilor Fellows.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. I would
Well,
think
we
as
had, the council had agreed to bring it forward on September 4th. I would go along, but I'd like to see it before our last council meeting in October. Not October, in November.
In November, at least an update, if nothing
Yeah.
more, right?
Yeah.
If not a final product. Council all set with that? Any concerns or otherwise? Council Moore? You all good with that?
Okay. Moving ahead.
Don't you have like 4 more pages that you managed to report, or no?
No, cut it down a little bit today. So at that point, we have the department head reports. Anybody can read those on the agenda, and then after that, we have appointments, and we don't have any appointments today. So moving forward, we'll go to Councilor Communications.
Anybody have any communications? Seeing none. Council Moore, any?
I can report the fish is not very good down here. Just so you know.
Yep.
Enjoy the crickets we can hear, though.
How are things in your end actually watching from your angle? Does this all seem to be playing out in a positive way?
Yeah.
Nice. Now, how is it on your end? Do you actually see it kind of like the Brady Bunch, like you're on Zoom, so you can actually see Glenn?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, Ray's head is shining, so it's hard to kind of a glare right there.
I knew that was
Maybe he
coming.
should wear a hat or something.
I knew that was coming.
I'm gonna buy him a hat.
He doesn't pick on me.
I knew that was coming.
Thank you.
I'm wondering if,
Hey,
I'm wondering if Glenn would like to update us on his activities.
Glenn, would you be willing to do that, sir?
I didn't prepare a report. I was just ready to speak on any of the green purchasing if it came up or the ARPA plan, but that was fully covered by Ryan.
You're actually.
The ICMA conference.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Met Chief Modesto last night, so got some ideas to bring back, and we'll see you the Thursday when I'm back.
Just for the listening public, what's the ITMA?
The International City Managers Association. Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you for being there, and hopefully you pick up some good information to bring back and help us move along.
Thanks, Maine Workforce Development, for paying for more than half of it. So
Nice. And that was the program that was presented earlier this year, right? It's awesome.
Yep.
Anything else for council communications at all? All right. Seeing none, moving on.
Moving on to audience participation and response for new items. At this time, those in the audience who wish to speak may approach the lectern to address items or issues that are not on the agenda. Please use the microphone and state your name for the record, and I will view the email.
And I'll open that up now, just one at a time, and form a line.
Don't bum rush the mic.
Yeah.
Take
I
a note.
see no
Seeing
emails.
a lot of not activities. Do we have anything on email?
No emails. I just
No.
updated it.
So we'll close that. Next item, please.
Next item is executive session order 2022-206 per 1 MRSA 4056A personal matters.
Make the motion.
Second.
We need a roll call vote to go in.
Who seconded it? Ray? Okay, all right, thank you. Roll call vote. Councilor Lunt?
Yes.
Councilor Fellows?
Yes.
Councilor Rochelle?
Yes.
Councilor Smith?
Yes.
Councilor Moore?
hey,
Councilor Robershaw?
Yes.
And Councilor Kane?
Yes.
Order passed.
And will be no votes following the executive session.
There'll be no votes following this. Okay, thank you.
Give it a couple minutes so we can shut the lights down.